number 5. I'm happy to be here, and I want to talk about something that really affects us all on a daily basis. I was doing a talk this morning, and many people wanted to know about this topic, so I thought I would talk about it in the book club. So, welcome everyone. Tell me where you're signing in from. I'm happy to see you. This is book club number 5, where I come on to talk about the themes in my book, A Radical Awakening. Turn pain into power, embrace your truth, live free. Turn pain into power, embrace your truth, live free. If you've started the book, if you have the book, tell me about your experience. I'd love to know. Share your reviews, share the book with your girlfriends, especially. This book is particularly contoured to the soul of a woman. And I'll share why, and I've been sharing why, because we women in particular have been raised with a different prescription list compared to guys. So we're talking about A Radical Awakening. This is book club number 5. And I can't wait to dive into today's topic. So, Turn Pain into Power is one of the subtitles. And that's what I'm going to focus on right now. Bought your book. I'm from Mexico. Can't wait to read it. Love the book. Almost finished. If you have been reading the book and you love it, don't forget to leave a review on Amazon so others can be encouraged to understand what it's about. So, Radical Awakening, Turn Pain into Power. So the reason why this is a subtitle, Turn Pain into Power, is for a real important reason. Turn pain into power. Turn pain into power. The reason is because we have such a problem with pain. So pain is one of the greatest challenges of the human experience, right? That's why people go to seek therapy. That's why people medicate and run away and avoid and become addicts, because of pain. Pain is extremely difficult when we've experienced it in childhood. Why is pain from childhood so difficult? It's because our nervous system, our cortex, our emotional quotient is not yet developed. So when we get traumatized in childhood, this is a problem, because then we set up patterns to run away from that pain, to deflect from that pain, and to cope with that pain. Childhood trauma is so Oprah's book with Dr. Bruce Perry is What Happened to You. What happened to you in childhood, right? No one is just crazy. Of course, there are a few outliers where the neurochemistry is such that they are unable to function without violence, perhaps. But for the most part, people are not just crazy, right? What happened to them, right? This is the new wave of compassionate investigation to understand that most of our addictions, this is what Dr. Garber Mate talks about, that most of our addictions are due to a lack of childhood connectivity. This is what all my work is about as well. So when that early pain occurs, and the pain can be as simple or as profound as it needs to be. It doesn't have to be a standard. This is trauma, the rest is not. No, it's how the person experiences their own unique pain that matters. So when we experience pain in childhood, our entire life is a defense to protect us from more pain. But sadly, the defenses we use, overeating, overdrinking, procrastination, overachieving, dysfunctional relationships, they will keep increasing our pain. And then we go around like this. So my book, A Radical Awakening, shows women how their current patterns have come from their protection from childhood pain. But it's increasing their pain. But it's protection from pain. But it's increasing their pain. And this is the tragedy of the adult life. Because in childhood, we began to create these defenses to protect us. So I call it in the book, the faces of the ego. the faces of the ego, and our patterns keep us protecting ourselves, but we keep using and abusing and looking outward to substances and things which keep us more in pain. So a radical awakening is when you wake up to understand that your pain is creating your patterns. And until you understand how pain is at the foundation of your patterns, especially the pain of unworthiness. Otto Welling says, can't get through chapter 1. I've had to start over several times. Valerie says this book is amazing. Share your reviews on Amazon. Share it with your sisters. We're talking about a radical awakening. This is book club number 5. So as we grow up, we keep putting on faces, masks, to help us deal with that childhood trauma, right? So many of us may have become, sexually promiscuous. Many of us may have become addicts. Many of us may have become angry teenagers. All of this is to protect us from that childhood pain. Something happened and now we needed to create a mask. So when we create a mask, we feel better as children. But as adults, those masks create a lot of drama and a lot more trauma, right? So in this book, Turn Pain into Power is one of the top subtitles, because that is how I help women, especially, turn their patterns into power. So as we have these masks, we begin to be more and more disconnected from our authentic self, right? Because in childhood, because of the trauma, we left our authentic self, we divorced our authentic self, and because of that break, we are now disconnected. There's a disconnect. We are here, but our authentic self is here. We are disconnected. We have shame, we have guilt, we have unworthiness, we have all the masks we wear: super achiever, super pleaser, super quiet one, super loud one, whatever the masks are, the masks. And now we're here, and there's a huge gap between our current self and our authentic self. It is in this gap that now we begin to create dysfunctional pattern after pattern after pattern. So in order to now go back to our authentic self, we can't just go back. It's not a mental decision, because what separated us was a lot of pain. So there's a gap. Each of us here have a gap, huge gap, sometimes more, sometimes less, but all of us are living with a huge distance from our authentic self. So the answer is not to, oh, okay, I got it, thank you, you said to be true, I'm going to be true. You won't be able to. The only way to go back to marry your authentic self is to go through a process, go through a journey. And that's what this book, A Radical Awakening, is about. It is a journey back to your authentic self. So if you are a woman, if you are sitting here in your life feeling disconnected, feeling lost, there is a reason why. It's not because you are stupid, lazy, bad, unworthy. There's a reason why your life is chaotic right now. There is a reason why your relationships are all misaligned. It's because there is a misalignment on the inside. A radical awakening is about taking your awareness to your own misalignment and beginning to heal yourself. This is a book to heal yourself, to work on yourself, and not only to heal yourself, to free yourself. So when there's this gap, we have to go layer by layer to take out those layers, to unlayer, to unlayer, to unlayer, to unlayer. As you unlayer, you have no choice but to arrive at your authentic self. So the mission is not to to simply make a mental decision to go to your authentic self. The process involves taking out the layers that separated you from your authentic self. So what has separated us from our authentic self? A lot of our childhood and cultural conditioning. A lot of the things we have taken from childhood. So Des says, I fear this. What is scaring people? Somebody else wrote, oh my God, that sounds scary. It is just what it is, right? It sounds scary because we haven't thought about it this way. But this is what's happening inside you. You're just not aware. Alia says, what if I'm scared to reach my authentic self? Yes, you are scared. We're all scared to go back to our authentic self. You know why? Because we've lived so many years disconnected. I feel as if I've tricked all my life. I've been tricked all my life. Yes, it's because you've been conditioned all your life. So because you've been conditioned, now you're living with this big inner disconnect, big inner gap. And so you're talking to your children from here, and they need you to talk to them from here. You're talking to your partners from here, and they need you here, right? And that's why things keep messing up. And you're like, why are they messing up, right? Why are people not seeing me here? Well, because you're here. You're wearing a mask, and you think that that's your authentic self. It's not your authentic self, right? So this is the issue in most intimate relationships, because people are completely living disconnected, and the disconnection can show up in different ways. It can show up in anger, control, over perfectionism, apathy, procrastination. It shows up in so many ways. It's not a prototypical way, but the way you can smell that there's a disconnect is because the person is not peaceful, because the person is not feeling whole and complete. The person throws arrows. You know how sometimes you're like, I don't know where that came from, right? When my daughter was young, I used to be a super amazing mom till 9 o'clock at night. After 9 o'clock, I was a raving lunatic. Why? Because I was disconnected all day. I was being the amazing mom, amazing this, amazing that, but I was burning out. So I didn't know it till I became a raving lunatic after 9 o'clock, right? So the way you can smell that we are in trouble is when we have things happen without our awareness. We're like, and then we were in a fight. And then I ate a whole cake. And then I finished the whole bottle of vodka. Oh my goodness, how did this happen? What? Because we're not awake. We're not present. We're not seeing life unfold moment by moment. Because we're disconnected. So when the wife comes to me and says, how did this happen that my husband has had a child or a whole relationship somewhere else? Now, I'm not blaming anybody. I'm just saying that when we are disconnected, we don't see the signs, right? So we don't see our own signs. Whenever I'm burnt out and I'm tired, I don't see my body's signs. And then I go eat the whole cake at night. And I'm like, how did this happen? Oh, because I wasn't paying attention. I wasn't paying attention, right? So mothers especially, because we're exhausted, we're not paying attention. We don't know how to create any boundaries. By 9 o'clock at night, ask most mothers, they're raving lunatics, right? And then the husband wants sex and you're ready to chop his head off. So this is what happens when you live with a disconnect, right? We're not even aware that we are living in a fog. We're not aware we're living in a disconnect. We're not aware of it. But it doesn't matter, because life will show us we're in a disconnect, right? Life will say, hey, you turned your paper in late, you paid your bills late, you missed the graduation ceremony of your child. You know, when my daughter was young and I was so exhausted, I remember my girlfriend's daughter's birthday, I just missed it. And I was like, how did I miss it? Right? I was just exhausted. I was burnt out. I wasn't paying attention. I was over compensating out of lack, right? So because I was exhausted, I was guilty, I was ashamed, I was feeling unworthy, I was overdoing it, over perfection, over this, over scheduling, and I was completely losing it. So life will always show us how we're off course, but we have to pay attention. We have to see how we're eating, how we're sleeping, how our relationships are. Are we just always in arguments? Are we always fighting? If a couple is always fighting, that means both are out of alignment, right? Because it always takes two people to argue. It always takes two people in a fight, yes? So no one is forcing you to fight back. So everything in your life is being co-created because of your relationship to pain. At the end of the day, it's how you have negotiated your childhood, right? The success of somebody who lives free is the degree to which they have healed their childhood. And their childhood is in the driver's seat and they don't even realize it. This is just the tragedy of it all. We're all really 5, but we think we're 55 because we're chronologically 55, but emotionally we're toddlers, right? In fancy cars. So this is just the reality of all of us humans, is that we are caught in the pain of our childhood and we are constantly creating patterns from that pain. A truly wise person begins to break out of those patterns because they want to be liberated. They want freedom. So we're talking about my book. We are book club number 5, talking about what pain into power really means. So when you become a spiritual warrior in your life, you decide that you will radically awaken and you will learn to turn your pain into power, which means you will begin to see how pain sets you up on a certain path and you will begin to break out of those patterns. But as long as you are not aware and as long as you think it's somebody else's fault, if there's anybody in your life right now that you're really angry at, it means you are still stuck in your own dysfunction. If somebody in your life, right now, in your intimate life, yes, is somebody who can make you angry like this, like when you think of them, you're like, oh, I hate them. It's because you haven't grown up. It's because you are still chained to them. They still trigger you because they have power over you. Because you haven't yet done the work to heal. If there's someone in your life that you feel this energy toward, this enmeshment, it's because of you. Because you haven't fully healed yourself. So whenever couples come to me and one is really angry with the other, whoever is the angrier one has to start with the work. They need to do the work, right? Now, angry people always have a justification for their anger. Always. It's never the angry person's fault. They're always justified. Now, there is healthy anger, right? There is powerful anger. What is that? That anger is about understanding that we need to take action. The unhealthy anger is simply vitriol, simply lashing out, tantrum. That is just complete inner disintegration of the toddler. Healthy anger means, okay, this inequity, this lack of boundary, this violation upsets me. I'll either go report you to the police, I'll leave the house, I will not sleep in the same bed, I will walk away from the table, I will not speak with you again, I will not pick up your phone, I will not answer your text. That is healthy anger, where you take action. Unhealthy anger is simply bitching, moaning, crying, screaming, right? Reactivity is ultimately unhealthy. Action is healthy. So angry people are always right? There's no point in debating an angry person because they're never wrong. So we have to understand that if we are blaming other people, if we are still triggered by other people in our lives, it's because we haven't done the work. We haven't healed ourselves and we're looking to the outside for that balm, for that solution. And as long as we stay stuck in that cycle, we will not radically awaken. So this book, A Radical Awakening, is out. It's been out for 3 weeks. I would love to hear your read about your reviews, hear your feedback. So do post, do share. It is a book for women especially to understand their patterns of pain and how they can turn it into power. If you are a woman right now angry with someone else, if you're a woman right now scared of a human being in your life, if you're a woman right now stuck in a pattern and not knowing how to break free, maybe this book will help you turn on some light bulbs and make you realize some patterns in your life that are the cause of your pain. Ultimately, we are the cause of our own pain, especially our emotional pain. And this book challenges you to take your responsibility in your own hands for your emotional pain. Mar Martin says, it's such a special book. I read, I stop, I keep going. It's deep. So the book is available on Amazon. It's on Audible. Get your copy, share it with others. Thank you for joining me for book club number 5. I'll be back with number 6. So remember, if you are right now suffering in any way, this book will help you to own your part in your own suffering. And then you can release. The way you know that you are arriving more at your true self is when you look within you. Nobody has power over you right now. Nobody can bring you to tears unless they die, maybe. Nobody can get you upset. That is freedom. When you are in touch with your own sovereign emotional experience, where you choose your emotional experience. It is not chosen from you, for you. If someone has the power outside of you to evoke an emotional reaction, that means you are not yet free. Freedom is in the complete sovereign ownership of your own emotional experience. Here we go. Bye.